Hey guys, I'm back with another chess beginner analysis video. It's been about a month since my last one. I took a little break because I haven't had any requests. And I've only been getting like 3 or 4 views per video, so it's kind of disheartening as well. But yeah, if you would like me to review your game, just send me a message on YouTube and I will try to get to it. So far, I've honored every single request. If my channel ever gets slightly more popular, I might not be able to honor every request because I won't have the time to do so. But right now is your chance to get in. Just a reminder that I am rated around 1950-ish on Lichess. So I am not a titled player. I'm not a grandmaster. So if you are like 2300, don't bother asking for analysis of your game because I won't be able to help you. Okay, so that being said, I have a request here from the brother of a viewer from my Twitch stream. So his account is NIThyrian on Lichess. This is a 10-minute game I found of his. It's a game that he lost, and it's a little bit of a longer game. Actually, I think it's quite long. So I think it's like 70 moves, 68 moves. So yeah, let's get started. I have the engine off here so that I use my own brain power. So my D4 opening theory is not very strong at all. It's like one of my weakest openings. But I will say that I've looked at this a little bit because when I play over the board tournaments, a lot of the players in my section really like this to play D4, D5, and then Bishop F5. And I've looked at this before, and I think a really good response is actually C5 here. We are trying to stake a claim to the center and create and basically compete for the center here. And if he takes, we can always grab that pawn. It's kind of like a reverse Queen's Gambit in a sense. But a common idea here is C5, and then in the future we fianchetto on the king side and stake a claim again to the center with this fianchetto. So that's something that you might want to consider. So you play Bishop F5. And you have the bishop outside of the pawn chain, something that John Bartholomew, the international master, likes to play. Not really my style, but I think this is fine. So you play C5 now. I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. Looks good. I'm kind of worried about this check, though. I guess if he gives you a check here, you could play knight c6. So you might be fine here. But I just get a little worried because then, knight c6, maybe he plays knight e5. And you're starting to get a little cramped in there. I guess you could play knight ge7, and then you could fianchetto here, so that might be a way. So you might be okay there, but then you're dropping a pawn here because if you got the knight. So for example, so that's my concerns with c5. Personally, if I was in this position, I would probably develop a minor piece first, maybe knight f6, preparing to castle. It's probably what I would play, or else I may possibly play here first. The difference being the move order, we can kick the bishop out if necessary, and we might be okay there. But yeah, so I'm slightly concerned about c5 because of this check. So let's see if my analysis is, if my concern is right. It kind of is, because it's you can see here, it's actually saying that to take the knight first and then give the check. But yeah, so this is what I thought. This is what Stockfish is saying, because now, you have to move the king. And even though white traded the bishop for the knight, the king is out. I mean, just look at the position. It looks pretty terrible, right? So, but I actually was just looking more immediate at, even this is still really good for white as well. Because as I say, if you block with the knight, then I was thinking he can come in here, but it's actually saying, I guess that's not the best way. That's fine. Yeah, actually 95 is best. Yeah, so it's exactly what I thought. And then you go here, then you can take the pawn. Oh wait, I guess he can't take the pawn. Why was I thinking it was blocked? I don't know why. But then there's bishop g5, pins everywhere. Knight in the, like, this is not great for black. So yeah, so that was my concern. Let me turn off the engine. And yeah, so really just going with the basics, developing your minor pieces. So okay, well, fortunately white didn't take advantage of that. Okay, so you develop a minor piece here, which is good to see. Although I personally would have still played knight f6 here, because you're not going to be castling queenside, right? You've got this pawn already moved out. This bishop is preventing, I guess it's not preventing castling, but it's, so I guess you could castle queenside, but you have this c pawn already out in front. I would imagine that you would want to castle kingside here. So why not move the knight on f8? That would be my priority, knight on f8. Plus, it's also targeting a couple of key squares. Maybe you played here to help prevent this knight move, but this knight isn't really hindering anything if it gets in there right now. We can always play this later. That might be okay. It might be okay. But still, personally, I think I would still play knight f6 here. Just, I mean, you're so far away from castling unless you castle queenside. But I still think you would probably want to prefer to castle kingside here still. So again, I would probably play, if I were to play anything, knight f6. I think. I don't think this is a terrible move, though. I don't think it's a terrible move. Or even a bad move. But. Okay, finally you've got knight f6. There we go. Okay, I like this. Everything looks good here. You've castled. Yeah, I would grab that. Yeah. So that's a pretty good knight by white. Yeah. Yeah, and he's going to be able to clone that knight. I call it cloning when... So for example, if you try to set something up like moving the rook here and then trying to challenge the knight, white can simply play here to reinforce it. Although this isn't a terrible idea of like moving a rook and challenging the knight, because even if he does replace it, you have an f6 to kick him out from this really important square. So that may be something you might want to consider. I think this is possibly okay too. I think that's probably fine. I'm just thinking long term though, because like right now, what if white plays knight df3? You know what I mean? You're not going to be taking here anyways. So, okay, give him some of his own medicine. I think that's okay. Because the only way for him to kick you out quickly is to move the knight, and then if you take, then you can take here. So I think this is fine. How long is this video? And it doesn't show me how long I've been recording on my software. That kind of sucks. Okay. What? H5? What is this H5 about? Okay, I think I see your idea. So you're thinking, I think I can see what NIThyrian is thinking here. It seems like a totally weird move, but I know what he's thinking. He's thinking to play f6 here, and then the knight only has one square to go to. I guess he's got two, actually. He can go here. Oh, so actually, yeah, you missed his fork. So white can fork you right here, so you lose the exchange there. How long was that available? Whoops, I missed it. I missed it previously. Oh, okay, once you move the knight. Yeah, once you move the knight. So yeah, it was just the last move here. So yeah, there's this fork. I can see that now. But anyways, disregarding that fork, the idea of what black is thinking here is, I think he's thinking f6, and he thought the knight can only retreat this way, so he was trying to take control of that square first. So it's a good thing that he had a plan there for that, but yeah, you missed this. So otherwise, it's some good good thinking there, because yeah, his knight can't move, but you overlooked this. Yeah. So your opponent didn't see that. You were lucky. So the best thing to do now is you still want to control the square. You might just have to let this pawn die. But you've got 2 pieces on it. So then maybe you can take here. You might just end up down a pawn instead of down the exchange. But you still, well, actually, hang on. That's even better than yeah, that's an even better move. I didn't even consider that, because now he's going to move his queen. Yeah, that's fantastic. So now you're still going to be down the exchange here. I mean, sorry, you won't be down the exchange because he has to move the queen. So, and you save the pawn. So that's great. Oh, you still missed this fork, and your opponent still misses it. That's amazing. Okay. So you missed another fork. You could have gone here, winning a pawn and the exchange. So let's look at the time. Move 19, you spent only 2.5 minutes. You might want to slow down a little bit. Your clock management isn't terrible, but like 19 moves is pretty deep. Like we are in the middle game now, and you've only used a quarter of your time. So I would try to slow down a little bit more in the future, because there was a lot of key, like you've missed a fork like 3 or 4 moves in a row, and then you missed an attacking fork here. So it's a easy way to win the game if you had just played here. So slow down a little bit. This is scary. How do you survive this? Just seeing. Does white not have anything better? Check here is interesting, because but maybe it just delays the inevitable. No, but I mean, you have to move. The thing is, like, if you take with the rook, he can take check again. I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't think it probably doesn't work though, because you can just, if you just move the king, what's the follow up? But then you take the, sorry. So yeah, what is the follow up for white here? Then takes, then he takes a pawn. So that might work for white. I'm not sure, but we're not trying to help white. We're trying to help you. So white traded, push the pawn. Okay, so you take the pawn here. So you could you create you take the pawn and you create a passed pawn, but would not, you really don't like forks, eh? This is like the 10th time you missed a fork. So the question is, would you rather be up the exchange here, or would you rather have a passed pawn and take out a pawn? To be honest, I'm not sure. Like this isn't, even though you don't get as much material this way, that's not such a bad move. I mean, this is suddenly a really strong pawn now. These two pawns are really strong, and you're attacking the rook. Rook can't attack you here because you go here, and you still have your knight. So I don't really mind this, but I don't know. I'm just hoping that you at least considered the fork. Oh, you missed another fork. What the hell? Like, honestly, okay, so like the thing is, so how can you improve on this? So maybe join chesstempo.com and do tactics that are all like knight forks. Because you've literally missed, like, I would have to count them up again, but because like in the beginning you missed a fork like 3 or 4 times, and then this must be like the 8th fork you missed, something like that, 7th or 8th or 9th. And almost like every one of them should have been like a game-winning fork. So it's really amazing that you're missing all these forks. So that's something you need to work on. Yeah, maybe join Chess Tempo and just drill those tactics, those fork tactics, until you've ingrained that pattern. I hope you don't miss another fork. I'm just looking at possible ways that we can trap the knight, but I think, yeah, this is fine. Oh, I guess you drop a pawn. I guess it's not fine. I was focused on I guess you can trade a pawn here. Okay, but here's the thing. This is not a great trade. Trading, even though, what are you up? Is it equal material? 3, it's equal, right? So anyways, this is not a good trade. Pawns aren't all created equal. I would much rather have a center pawn than taking a B pawn. You know, I'd rather keep, because once you trade this, now you've got 2 split pawns here, as opposed to this nice triad of pawns all connected. So I would rather keep this pawn than taking this one. Maybe you're scared about these connected they're not passed pawns, but these connected pawns here. But still, I'd rather keep this. Maybe you thought you wouldn't be able to hang on to it, though. That might be true. That might be true. But even so, I think I might consider pushing here, because at least this way, so if you were to push here and then takes, oh, I see, then you might lose here. So maybe you made the right decision. Yeah, you might have made the right decision there, because if we push takes, and you push here, he can't go here, so he would have to go here. Yeah, so you might have made the right decision. I'd have to think. I don't want to spend too much time looking at every move. I'm not sure if there was something better here. I'm still considering this d4 push. Because even if you get, I mean, you might be able to get a rook here, but yeah, what you played might have been best. So we're going to speed along here. So we're in move 35. This is, and the game's only halfway done. So Let's see what happened. That's a really long endgame here. Yeah, so I mean, you're targeting the pawn, but as you know, it's really important to get an active king in the endgame. I think black is in a tough position here. You do have the bishop, which is good, but your pawns are kind of. I mean, you've got two connected passers here, but then you're against 4 on 1 on this side, so it looks pretty good for white here. But I think it's even more important, since you're down a pawn, to get an active king. It's going to be hard to do a lot with it because you're facing 4 pawns on this side and you can't come in this way because of the knight. But I don't think you're achieving much with this bishop move. If anything, you are now blocking this pawn. So you're going to get really passive pieces here. And white can just push his pawns and bring in his king. But yeah, I don't know. This looks pretty tough. Maybe you were hoping for a mate here, trying to somehow set something up, trying to set up something. But no, yeah, I think you're just targeting the pawn, though. I don't think you were thinking of anything else. Yeah, this is really tough. I would still try to bring in the king somehow, though, but this looks really, really tough. Hopefully your opponent blunders. Again, I'm not really sure what you're trying. I guess you're pinning the knight here, because if you move the knight, you can take the pawn. But I just don't. What are you going to do about him pushing? Okay. Just thinking here. Whoops. This is really tough. Wow, he traded. Okay. I'm surprised white played this way instead of just pushing his pawns, but interesting. Ooh, yeah, so this is a mistake for sure. Why not play rook here, defend the rook? Your opponent is lower in time than you, but this is just straight up blunder on your part. Just giving up. Yeah, that's a huge mistake. I won't talk about this too much because it's pretty obvious, but I mean, when you only have 3 pieces here, you got 2 pawns and a rook, you're giving up 30% of your army with this little mistake. You can't let that type of thing happen. And if it wasn't a mistake, if you were just wanting to get the pawn one square farther, that's no. You want to protect the pawn if you can. Like it'll take you 1 move longer to queen, but you shouldn't give it up for nothing because he's taking with check, right? And and he's playing correctly here. All he has to do is cover this square, and then he's got 3 pawns against your rook, which is winning. So I'm pretty sure white is winning here. Oh, I don't like this. I think white should have come in this way. Because he just, Okay. Oh, hang on a second here. Yeah. Here I probably would have given a check. As you can move this rook on this. You can keep it on this file. I would give a check. It forces him to move back. Buys you a little bit of time. Your opponent only has 90 seconds left at this point. I guess you can't see that on my screen for some reason. It's cut off. The top clock is cut off, but I would probably give a check here. You can win a pawn. Yeah, you win a pawn there, so. Yeah, so again, like all these moves, you could be buying a lot more time by giving checks. Like, check. Like he can't come in this way because you just keep checking. So you could really buy a lot of time by giving checks. Don't just move your king because he's just going to do what he's doing. So you could basically prolong this by twice the amount of time by giving a check every few moves. All of these moves could be yeah. So here you give a check. Man, the end game technique is really terrible here on both sides. But what happened here? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you might have got a little bit excited here and trying to. Okay, I guess you're worried about a mate, but you could defend this way. You're worried about this mate, right? If you move the rook somewhere, but I think you could just go here. And then go here. Better than losing the rook. So then you resign here. Okay, so overall you played quite well. I mean, you are 1587. Sorry, you were 1587 at the start of this game, and your high rating is 1597. So you're almost 1600. So you played pretty well, but you obviously you have a very obvious weakness with forks. Like, you missed a lot of forks. You missed every single fork in the game, I think. And so did your opponent. Your opponent missed a lot of forks too, but that was like 8 forks missed. Each one of them was probably a winning fork. So I would recommend practicing tactics on forks because you are missing them. Like, if you missed one, that's one thing, but missing 8 is another. Like, you don't have the pattern recognition for knight forks. You're not going to miss 7 or 8 otherwise. So you might really want to practice just drilling some basic fork tactics and getting that pattern recognition in. Otherwise, I think you played quite well. You made little mistakes here and there, but nothing too major, and just little mistakes that we all kind of make. But it was really those forks that decided the game. There was some stuff in the end game that could have been improved too, but it was really those forks. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And thanks for watching. And I'm done.